Negative keywords are sort of key to shaping the traffic that you're getting through to your Google Ads campaign. Today I'm joined by Tia, who is going to run through the way that we approach this in a way that we're finding that the quality of traffic that we're getting through on our campaigns is really high. So that's really increasing the conversion rates and making sure that you're getting the most efficiency out of your Google Ads budget.
Yes, this is definitely one of the most frequent tasks that I complete week on week for all clients. So it is part of our weekly optimizations. And if you let it go any further than that, it can cause quite a build-up, I guess, of keywords that you need to then neg out of the campaign. So what we do is on new accounts, we download this search query report on a daily basis, and on older accounts, it becomes more of a weekly task. But we download that search query report to go through it and look for a couple of main terms. So info seeking would be one of them. That's people not quite ready to convert and they're just looking for more information. We don't want to waste clicks on them because we know that they're not high intent, they're not ready. Then there's competitors. Competitor terms are a huge one. There is a lot of budget wasted on competitors. People might click on the ad thinking it was the competitor and then jump straight back off your website. So in most cases, we want to be negging out competitors as well. They would get their own negative keyword list so that we can neg them from everything but, say, a competitor campaign. Another one is brand terms. So your own brand terms would want to be negged out of your search query report, and they would get their own negative keyword list again, because if you do run a brand campaign, you don't want to apply them as negatives to that campaign. And the main one as well would be products and services that you don't actually offer. So if you were a plumber and people are looking for electrical services, you would obviously neg that out straight away because it is not under your own services list. The final one that we look for as well is locations. They get their own list specifically because you might not be providing services or products in those locations at the moment, but if you do expand your services and products later on, we can then slowly remove them from the negative keyword list. But it's a really important one to make sure that your traffic is from the right areas, whether that's locally in a small town or whether it's maybe a few of the major states within Australia. We would obviously keep all of them in the campaigns and neg everything else out.
Even international traffic, right? Because sometimes we'll even see that people are searching for something that's from an overseas, they're wanting something from an overseas supplier or whatever. 100%. And so we're just getting rid of anything. So that way, ideally, your ads are only shown to people who are looking for your products and services in your area. Yeah,
and this just cleans everything up. I think a lot of questions are avoided by clients if we do this as frequently as we do. They normally email through and say, hey, we're getting a bit of traffic for XYZ, and it's because we go through that report that week and we see that there's a lot of competitor traffic or info-seeking traffic. So the intent of the search queries have changed, so then we need to go through and do that cleanup. So the more frequently you can do it, especially on a new account, it needs to be daily, but week on week for sort of the rest of the accounts is where we find is the sweet spot.
Yeah, and when we're looking at the actual way that we're doing the negative, so when we're going through this list, so we're actually doing line by line, every single keyword, every single search that's happening. Some accounts have thousands of these depending on the budget and how cheap the cost per click is.
Yeah.
But we're going through every single line. And then when we're approaching this, we're not negging out as an exact that term. We're picking out the word that is not relevant and using that as a phrase, right? So what's that look like?
So I definitely do use both, but phrase is more common just because that one particular keyword could be used in many different sentences, many different phrases. Everyone types something into Google differently, whether that exact word is at the start or the end of a sentence. It doesn't matter where it is, we don't want it. So by doing phrase match, that means it gets rid of that word altogether, whether someone searches it at the start or the end or in the middle of a sentence. Exact match is used when it's a phrase that is probably close enough to what your product or service might be, but we know that you definitely wouldn't be in market for it. So we just do the full exact match of that one, which leaves room for if someone was to phrase it differently and feel more in market to Google, they can still come through in that search volume.
Yeah. And I think we also, like, as you're saying, to get rid of all the info-seeking stuff, we'll just do a phrase match on things like how to, stuff like that, learns, things like these, that we know that if at any point someone types in how to, there's a good chance that they're just looking for a guide or something on how to do something
free
rather than to purchase services from somebody.
Yeah, there's a bunch of keywords that we would neg at the very start, and that would be things like free or example or how to. So they're just ones that we know no one's ever searching for them to be in market for someone else's product. They're searching for them to get the Google response or the free version online. So I think working through that very quickly at the beginning is just detrimental to a campaign performance early on, and then you won't get as many questions saying, hey, the traffic's not quite there if you've started so early.
Yeah, I think this is probably really one of the most important things you can be doing in your account, and
Yeah.
especially for a new account. But even also when we take over an account from another place that's been looking after them, we find that this is where we can have the quickest wins, because the quality of the traffic, how clean the traffic and those search query reports are, is really where we can really shape that traffic to be really high intent keywords, and making sure you're happy to bid high. If you know that you've negged out everything that's possible, that over time you can pump your bids more, because you know that you're not going to be wasting spend on stupid irrelevant terms.
Yeah, I think the big thing is if we get an account and there is actually no negative keyword lists, the search query reports have never been looked at. That's so alarming to me. And then we do have to work. But sometimes I download a report that's 90 days long, and there's, as you said, thousands of keywords in there and search queries in there. But I go through every single one because I know the impact it will then have on their ads. And as you said, quick wins. If they want conversions fast, that's why they've come to us, because they had an account running, they have all this data, but no one's done anything with it or tried to clean the traffic up themselves.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Tia. I think that this is such a core area of Google Ads.
For sure.
And whilst automation and machine learning and PMAX and all these things are coming out, which really, I guess, take a lot of the day-to-day maintenance out of some aspects of the role, this is something that is still so relevant.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for watching today.